The value of baseball teams just keeps going up and up and up. A new analysis from Bloomberg News shows that big league franchises are worth even more than you thought.
Valuing these teams now and just looking at the team itself is like valuing News Corporation and only looking at the Wall Street Journal.
Do you wish your favorite football team had made a big move at this week's trade deadline? A former NFL executive tells us why a ton of trade talk led to very little action.
Due to the complexities of the salary cap, oftentimes the landing spot for these trades is very small.
Plus, march to the match with the savvy executives who lead soccer's Seattle Sounders.
It's completely their game. It's what they're doing.
And find out how CC Sabathia is pitching in to help the New York City Marathon meet its charity goals.
We want to be in the community, not just donate our time or just drop things off.
We've got sports business coverage that's truly priceless. Sportfolio starts right now. Hello, I'm Rick Haro, and welcome to Sportfolio, Bloomberg's weekly inside look at the business of sports. When the Los Angeles Dodgers sold for over $2 billion in 2012, many analysts raised their eyebrows at the price. Conventional wisdom said that NFL teams might be worth $1 billion or more, but most Major League Baseball franchises didn't come close to that valuation. But last week, Bloomberg News released a new study of baseball franchise values that suggests we've been seriously undervaluing teams. Peter Schwartz is the reporter who compiled these valuations and determined that, in fact, 10 franchises already worth over $1 billion. Hey, Peter, how did you arrive at those figures?
Well, Rick, what we did is we talked to dozens of folks over 9 months of compiling information, including sports bankers, sports lawyers, team and league officials, and we looked at a broader view than just the franchise value itself, but also team-related businesses that's owned by the same ownership, be it a regional sports network or related real estate or radio interests. So that $1 billion plus figure, which is an average for all teams, and as you mentioned, 10 teams are over that threshold, also includes team-related businesses that the team itself leverages to make more money.
Well, you just referred to it, but the category that's clearly driving some of these teams sky high is regional sports networks. And in the case of the Mets and the Yankees, you estimate they're worth about $1 billion. And next year, Dodgers launching their team-owned network. And the Dodgers may be baseball's most valuable team next year or not?
Well, quite possibly. It's going to be a horse race with the Yankees, and I would go a step further and say maybe not only just baseball and maybe not only just in the United States, but they'll be neck and neck for the most valuable sports franchise in the world. As you mentioned, the sale last year was a game changer in terms of how bankers and executives and team owners look at the value of teams. The Dodgers' new regional sports network is going to be a game changer in terms of escalating values of RSNs. The Dodgers' ownership, Guggenheim Management, gives a discounted cash flow value of that network at $2.75 billion today. So even if that is a little bit high, as our analysts here think it probably is, it is safe to say that it's going to be neck and neck with the Yankees going forward, above all other 28 teams in terms of overall value.
Looking at those numbers, those RSNs obviously are really valuable. Can teams in this day and age afford not to start their own networks?
A lot of teams aren't in the position where they're able to. In a perfect world, it would be terrific if every team had their own regional sports network. But it really is much easier said than done. But I can tell you that a couple of teams over the course of my reporting I've discovered are investigating the possibilities of launching their own network in partnership with cable companies, those being the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Tampa Bay Rays. I believe an opportunity exists given the market dynamics for the St. Louis Cardinals to do the same, and the Phillies as well, but it seems that based on preliminary negotiations, they're leaning towards a traditional rights fee agreement extension with Comcast for a significant increase from what they currently have.
Let's look at another category, which is baseball-related business. And only 6 of 30 teams have this in their portfolio right now. What kind of businesses are these, and could this be a growth area for more teams?
Sure. Well, the most robust example is the Yankees. They rank beneath the Dodgers in terms of overall value, and the Dodgers is strictly tied to a real estate joint enterprise at Dodger Stadium with Frank McCourt, the prior owner, and Guggenheim, the current ownership. But the Yankees have a 43% interest in Legends Hospitality, and they have a plurality stake along with the Dallas Cowboys, also own 43%. They have licensing agreements with a company called Avenue Sports for 6 retail stores in Manhattan. They have an agreement with the Hard Rock Cafe. They're the best example of leveraging baseball toward other businesses. But the other teams that have other enterprises are the Blue Jays and the Angels. Both have radio interests. And there are 5 teams that own stakes in their ballpark and adjacent property. That's a component that we've captured in the valuations. One of the sports bankers who helped us compile the valuations said to us, valuing these teams now and just looking at the team itself and not all of the related businesses is like valuing News Corporation and only looking at the Wall Street Journal. You know, there's a lot more to it nowadays.
Finally, let's look at the relationship of value to wins in 2013. 2 out of the top 5 teams this year are in the bottom third of franchise value. And in fact, the Pirates and A's both, they received a combined $71 million from MLB's revenue-sharing pool. Is that proof that baseball's financial model is working? Is it really leveling the playing field?
If you look at it this season and more broadly in terms of the last 10 years, I think it is fair to say that the Pirates aren't an aberration, and every so often teams with lower payrolls are more competitive. I think if you take a step further back and look, in addition to revenue sharing, but new national money that's going to help level the playing field even more, starting next season, there's going to be 8-year agreements with all of the current Major League Baseball national TV partners, and this extension more than doubles the current contracts and will provide about $415 million to each team over the course of those 8 years. So in addition to revenue sharing, there's going to be more resources all around to try to spend as wisely as the general managers can and the owners can to field more competitive teams.
You can read Peter Schwartz's story on baseball team valuations and check out his calculations on Bloomberg.com. Peter, thanks again for joining us on Sportfolio.
Thank you very much, Rick.
Coming up, NFL general managers look for value in midseason trades, but very few actually pull the trigger and make deals. Why did we see so little action at this week's trading deadline? Former GM Mike Tannenbaum shares his opinion. He's next up as Sportfolio rolls on. Welcome back to Sportfolio. Midseason trades have always been relatively rare in the NFL. Last year, the league moved the trade deadline back from Week 6 to Week 8 in the hope the teams would have more incentive to make deals as the playoff push separated the contenders from the pretenders. This year saw plenty of trade talk, which is entertaining for fans, but none of the juicy rumors actually came true. And joining us to discuss NFL trading is a man who made a share of major deals, former New York Jets general manager Mike Tannenbaum. Hey, Mike, first of all, just one trade made at the deadline. Are you surprised?
A little bit, given the activity that we heard that could be going on in the league. I was surprised that just one trade did get done.
All the pundits talked about Jared Allen and Peterson and Fitzgerald. All those guys at the trade deadline, everybody said, well, let's move them. It's harder than just picking up the phone and getting a guy on the other line, right? You got to justify a lot of different things, don't you?
Great point. And I'll tell you, for every trade we made, we probably were on the phone 10 to 15 different times. Going back to Jared Allen, for example, that reminded me a little bit of our Antonio Cromartie trade. Cromartie had 1 year to go. We put in the trade about if he had signed an extension with us, that the value we would send to San Diego would augment from a 3rd to a 2nd round pick, because that trade, like any other trade we would make, we were hoping it to be a win-win. I think in Jared Allen's case, where his base salary was approximately $7.5 million left for the 2013 regular season, knowing he's going to be a free agent come next March, I think teams were reluctant to give up that much money and a draft choice for maybe 8-9 games. So that's why I think when you look at when the trade deadline is in our sport, it's hard to find those landing spots.
Well, you know, the Patriots made a trade to fill an immediate need on defense, getting nose tackle Isaac Sopoaga from the Eagles for draft pick. Assess that deal and assess the Patriots.
I thought that was a good trade for both sides. You know, first of all, from the Patriots side, losing a guy like Vince Wilfork, that's really hard to replace. Sokopaga, he's a very similar type of player, not as good. And basically what Philadelphia and New England did is they flipped picks. So Sokopaga and a 6th-round pick went from Philly to New England. New England gave up a 5th-round pick. And in next year's draft, over those 3 days, New England could clearly recoup that pick by exchanging picks with other teams. So I thought that was a good trade for both sides because Isaac was not playing a lot for the Eagles at the time of the trade.
And not the blockbuster everybody talks about, but there was already a blockbuster trade in the NFL after week 2. Trent Richardson went from the Browns to the Colts for a 1st-round draft pick and a deal that already looks pretty good for both teams. And if this is a copycat league, Mike, why aren't more GMs making those bold moves?
Well, you know, I think you got to give a lot of credit to Ryan Grigson, and certainly while I was with the New York Jets, we did make our fair share of trades. You have to look at what's best for your team and what are the other available opportunities to improve your team. You know, just going back to New England for a second, to their credit, you look at 3 players, Danny Amendola, Shane Vereen, the running back, and Rob Gronkowski. Clearly, those are 3 players that haven't really helped so far this year, but have a chance to come back from injury. You look at San Francisco, Mario Manningham, Michael Crabtree. Those are 2 players that may come back and help them during the season. So from a GM's perspective, you want to look at avenues to improve your team. Sometimes that could be from within, as the teams we just mentioned. Sometimes you have to go to the trade market. However, due to the complexities of the salary cap, you have to make sure you have the room to absorb this year's base salary from the team you're acquiring from, and therefore, oftentimes, the landing spot for these trades is very small.
Wouldn't you think that since many teams will lose free agents for 0 compensation in the offseason, they'd be eager to get any compensation in midseason for players who are not in their long-term plans?
Right. Now, there is also something known as the compensatory draft system, and albeit we are on Bloomberg TV, it is highly complex. It's akin to the soybean market, but the complexities of the compensatory draft selections basically have to do with the netting out process come the following free agency. So the players you lost, the players you gained, how much they played, and then in the subsequent draft. So again, if we're talking about the 2014 offseason, teams will get draft choices in 2015. And maybe the most notable compensatory pick we've seen in recent days has been the Nnamdi Asomugha 3rd-round pick that the Raiders got when the Eagles signed Asomugha to that big deal 2 years ago.
There you have it. It's not like trading soybeans for wheat. That's how trades are made. Mike Tannenbaum, thanks for joining us on Sportfolio.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up on Sportfolio, Bloomberg's C-Suite program visits the Seattle Sounders of Major League Soccer, a franchise that goes the extra mile to connect with fans. We'll take you along on the march to the match.
This city named a team. They could pick their own seats.
And here's our Sportfolio stumper. In 2012, Seattle was one of 2 cities whose Major League Soccer team had higher per-game attendance than its Major League Baseball team. Can you name the other? The answer when Sportfolio returns. Here's the answer to this week's stumper. Other than Seattle, the only city whose MLS team outdrew its Major League Baseball team in 2012? Houston. The Dynamo averaged just over 21,000 fans per game, while the Astros averaged just under 20,000. The Seattle Sounders have been playing to full houses at CenturyLink Field since entering Major League Soccer in 2009. But the team's management doesn't take the passion of its fan base for granted. On Bloomberg TV's C-Suite, host Jeffrey Hazlett learns that one secret of the Sounders' success is the length they will go to connect with their customers.
The March to the Match, which we do before every game, came from our main fan club, the Emerald City Supporters. They, had this idea and they wanted us to follow it. So now everybody marches to the match an hour before the game.
Basin Reitberg, your fan, sign wave! Special night tonight. First place is ours. I can just sense it here on Psychic. I know that. You guys feel it?
It's game day, and it's time to talk to the man whose vision spawned this entire Sounders movement in Seattle, majority owner Joe Roth. What am I looking at?
What you're looking at is unique around the world, only to Seattle. It's called the March to the Match. We have it before every single home game, and there's anywhere from 3,000 to 8,000 people. And from now on, it's going to get very, very loud.
You basically brought a minor league team, a team that had been trying it a couple of different times. What was the big change between the two that said, hey, we can make this go this time around?
Well, I didn't really pay much attention to the past. I did my homework about Seattle. And what I found out was it had the highest per capita youth soccer in the United States. It had an adult league that had 60,000 people. Its minor league team was drawing 5,000 to 8,000 people, while the other minor league teams were drawing 1,000 people. And then AC Milan was traveling, and it came here on 2 weeks' notice and sold out the stadium. We sell twice as many tickets as any team in the United States. We're in the top 20 in the world in tennis, top 10 in Europe. It's completely unique in the United States.
You know, you're a bottom line kind of guy. I mean, we're in business, and so in the end, you got to make money. So what are the conditions of satisfaction that you put in?
Well, the measurement is the team is worth 4 or 5 times in value what it was when we started 5 years ago.
So what would you peg the value at now?
Well, somewhere between 120 and 150. The Galaxy was in their book at 150. Again, they don't sell more than 20,000 tickets. We sell 44. That demographic we have here is an advertiser's dream. It's 18 to 49, 60% male, 40% female, with an average income of over $100,000. And if we stand right here, we will be run over.
We're going to be run over. Doing is not just a business, but are you creating some kind of culture around the sport?
It's completely their game. This city named a team. They could pick their own seats. We have nothing to do with this march. It's what they're doing. It's just been growing organically. The whole thing has been a viral effort. Now it's worth 5 times what we started. I had no idea it was going to be this big. Anybody that says that, they'd be crazy. But now that it is, I can see that soccer is generational. 20 years from now, this will be like the Washington Redskins, where the only way you get a ticket is you inherit it when your father dies. That's what we're doing here. Regardless, hey, we lost to LA 4-0 my second year. Here, I was so angry, I gave everyone their money back. It cost us $1 million.
For you, is it the emotion that's a big part of it?
Yes.
Do you feel like if you don't have that connection, you shouldn't be in the game?
Exactly. If you're not connected in that way, if you're not willing to stand out here and be part of everything, then I think you're missing something.
You can see full episodes of C-Suite Tuesdays at 9:30 Eastern and Pacific on Bloomberg TV, as well as online at Bloomberg.com and on the Bloomberg TV Plus app for iPad. Still plenty left on Sportfolio. Coming up, the New York City Marathon faces a shortage of charity runners this year. But celebrities are helping to pick up the fundraising slack.
So if you sign up for just Charity X, you're not getting all these incentives.
Stay with us as we sprint to the finish on Sportfolio. Get Sportfolio wherever you go on the Bloomberg TV Plus app or iPad. Last year, the ING New York City Marathon was canceled due to Hurricane Sandy. Thousands of runners and spectators came to New York for the race, and many stayed to help with relief efforts. It was a feel-good story in the midst of a disaster. But the effects of the cancellation have been disastrous for the many charities that participate in the marathon's fundraising programs. Veteran philanthropic consultants Harry Baxt and Sarah Weinstein gave us their perspective on the problem and some creative solutions that are helping address the shortfall.
The New York City Marathon Charity Program is a $33 million program. About 250 different charitable organizations are part of the New York City Marathon Charity Program. everyone who runs on behalf of the charity gets automatic entry into the marathon. Usually, the New York City Marathon has about 150 to 200,000 people apply for only 50,000 slots. Because of the cancellation last year, those 50,000 runners were given the option to have guaranteed entry into this year's race, 2014 or 2015. An estimated 40% of last year's runners enacted their guaranteed entry for 2013, this year's race, meaning that the whole model of the marathon was sort of flipped on its head. At our company, Weinstein Carnegie Philanthropic Group, me and my business partner, Sarah, we work with a variety of different celebrities and athletes, such as Sean Penn, such as CC Sabathia, James Blake, marathon champion Meb Keflezighi. We really work with them to implement their partnerships with races such as the New York City Marathon and to really create these unique experiences for runners. So it's not just about guaranteed entry anymore. We're really looking beyond that and to really try to get that average donation up per runner. So CC's Pitch In Foundation and with his wife Amber, this is the first year of the charity partnership with the New York City Marathon. And this really came about, Sarah and I discussing it with his agency, the Legacy Agency, and just really creating a unique and efficient way for them to fundraise for their charity.
It's just us. We want to be in the community, not just donate our time or just drop things off.
There's so many events that were hit because of the past 2 years, of the weather and all the things that were going on. This year, we're so thankful to be a part of that as well, that we have these runners that are out there running for us, supporting the Pitch In Foundation and raising money and funds and awareness.
We have a handful of runners, 6 runners. It's made up of fans. It's made up of CC's agent is running, Ross Spielman is running. It's a $5,000 minimum donation. So it's double the New York Road Runner minimum donation.
It's just no longer enough to offer a guaranteed spot in the marathon as an incentive for someone to go out and raise money. You have to come up with these specialized programs. We've been working with Sean Penn's organization, JP Haitian Relief Organization, for a long time on some of their bigger events. So we went to the charity with the idea of fielding a team in the marathon, and we were able to secure 10 spots for their charity. But Sean had the great idea to say, let's do a team that's made up of 5 high-profile supporters of the charity, and then let's use it as an opportunity to showcase the incredible athleticism in Haiti. We worked with the Haitian government, and we had a half marathon in Haiti, and the top 3 male runners and the top 2 female runners won qualifying spots to be on the JPHRO New York City Marathon team. For the non-Haitian runners, we put together a team of high-profile business people, and actress Pamela Anderson has also joined the effort. All the runners on the team are going to get one-of-a-kind uniforms that have been made by Armani's sports line. New Balance is providing shoes for the team, and then Morgan's Hotel Group is putting together a really fun after party in honor of the team. So if you sign up for just Charity X, you're not getting all these incentives.
The other thing with athletes and celebrities, a lot of their charity fundraising is so dependent upon them being somewhere, right? So the New York City Marathon charity program offers a really unique and efficient fundraising platform for them.
Yeah, people have asked us, are you guys running? And I'm like, ha ha ha.
I couldn't even walk.
I don't know. I'll definitely donate, but I don't know. I'll be there at the finish line.
I'll be at the finish line. I'll meet you guys.
As of this week, Sean Penn's 10-person team had raised over $170,000 for Haitian relief through its participation in the New York City Marathon. Well, that'll do it for this edition of Sportfolio. Our thanks to Peter Schwartz of Bloomberg News, Mike Tannenbaum, and all the other guests on this week's program. And thank you for watching. Bloomberg.com is the place to go for sports business coverage and plenty of great video, including Sportfolio, C-Suite, and other Bloomberg TV shows. If you're taking part in the New York City Marathon this weekend, run fast and have fun. I'm Rick Haro. See you next time on Sportfolio.